How do you buy a car with bad credit without getting scammed by the dealership? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. After over 10 years as a professional car consultant, the car buying stories that always bother me the most are those from consumers with bad credit or no credit who end up buying a car that ends up costing them way more money than they were expecting. I've seen this happen way too many times when someone with bad credit goes to a dealership to buy a used car that they think is only going to cost them around $17,000 or $18,000, but they wind up with over $40,000 of debt once you add in all the additional fees and interest that that loan is going to cost them. Nobody should have to drown in debt from a car loan or from a dealership that was taking advantage of the situation. So to make sure that does not happen to you, make sure to stick around to the end of this video. Buying a car with bad credit or no credit and not ending up with a huge pile of debt is definitely not an easy task, but there are some practical tips and tricks that you can follow to make sure that you wind up with a good car that's not going to drown you in a huge amount of debt. Let's start with establishing a budget. Now, a lot of dealerships are going to try and get you to focus on the monthly payments, but you really need to also be thinking about the total price of the car and the total amount of debt that you feel comfortable carrying. Let's say, for example, that you feel comfortable paying around $300 to $350 per month for your car loan. Well, as a rough rule of thumb, every $100 per month is around $5,000 of car. Once you add in the cost of the car, the interest on a 4 to 5 year loan, that's around what it's going to cost. So if you're okay with paying around $300 per month, that's going to get you around a $15,000 car on a 4 to 5 year loan. Now, you need to be realistic about your budget. If you can only afford around $300 to $350 per month, you need to forget about that fancy luxury car that's going to cost over $30,000 because it's just not going to happen. Even if you stretch out that loan to 7 or 8 years long to lower those monthly payments, it's a really bad idea. Remember, you're buying a used car, and a used car that's already 3 to 4 years old, if you take out a 7 or 8 year loan on it, it's going to be over 10 years old by the time you finish paying it off. And by that point, it's going to need a lot of money in repairs. It might break down altogether, so it's not a good idea. Be realistic with your budget. If you can only afford a few $100s per month, you want to stick to a really reasonably priced car, something around $10,000 to $15,000 at the most on a 4 to 5 year loan. Now, once you've established your budget, the next thing you're going to want to do is to pick your car. It's important to pick a car that has a good reputation for reliability, something that's not going to cost you a lot of money in repairs. My recommendation is to go for something like a Toyota Corolla or a Honda Civic. These are cars that can last you an extremely long time. It's not difficult to find one that's only around 3 to 4 years old for $10,000 to $15,000, and it's going to have a lot of life left in it, easily able to last you up to 10 years, possibly longer. Now, once you pick the car that you want to buy, it's time to start searching the used car markets to find the perfect car for you. You're going to want to search all the different possible used car markets that are available, including places like Auto Trader, Car Gurus, Kijiji Autos, and in the States, CarMax, Carvana. All of these places are really good to search, and any one of them could have the perfect used car for the right price. Make sure you look over the ads very carefully, reading all of the important information, including the price, the mileage, the description of the car, how well it's been maintained. Look at the Carfax history report to see if the car has been involved in any serious accidents. All of the important checks that you want to take a look at before you contact the dealership for any further information. Once you've narrowed your list down to a couple of really good options, it's time to contact the dealership to check if the car is available and to get even more details on the car. Now, if you're someone who has bad credit, the dealership is going to want to run a credit application on you right away before doing anything else because they want to make sure that you're qualified so that they're not wasting their time. But don't let them do this. You only want to let them run a credit application when you're 100% sure that you want to buy the car. If too many dealerships are all running your applications, it can hurt your credit even more. Here's what you do if the dealer is pressuring you to run your credit when you're not ready for it. Tell the dealer that you want to know what your payments are going to be and what the cost of the car is going to be, assuming good credit. If the dealership is not willing to give you that information, then you need to move to somewhere else. Let's say you settle on a $15,000 car. Well, on a 4-year car loan at a 6% interest rate, which is a typical interest rate for a well-qualified buyer, that's going to leave you with a monthly payment of around $350 per month over 48 months. So if the dealer tells you $350 per month, assuming good credit, you know that's the best possible price that you could hope to pay, and anything that you pay above that is because of additional fees and interest due to your bad credit. Now, what are those payments going to look like if you have really bad credit? Well, let's look at the same $15,000 car, only this time, instead of a 4-year loan at 6% interest rate, we're gonna look at a 4-year loan at 18 to 25% interest rate, which is your typical interest rate for a subprime borrower that has really bad credit. At those rates, the payments you should expect to pay could be anywhere from $450 to $500 per month on a 4-year loan. Now, I know that's a lot more money than $350 per month, but the higher cost is due to the fact that you're paying a lot more money in interest on the car loan. Now that you know that your bad credit is basically costing you around $100 to $150 per month extra, or an extra $3,000 to $4,000 in interest on the car loan, you can make the decision of whether you want to buy the car or not. It's time to also look over the contract carefully, make sure that the dealership is not charging you any additional fees, and if they are charging you fees, make sure to question them and know exactly what they're for. Some dealerships will try and charge you all kinds of extra things that you should not be paying for. So only sign the contract when you're 100% sure that you're ready to do the deal and you know exactly what the car is going to cost you. It's important to read everything very carefully and know exactly what you're getting into before you sign any paperwork, and most importantly, know how much debt the car is going to cost you. Now, I know it's not a great situation to be buying a car that's around $15,000 and paying another $4,000 to $5,000 in interest. That's a lot of money to spend on a 3 to 4-year-old car. But as long as you're buying a car that has a good reputation for reliability, you know it's a car that's going to last you around 10 years, possibly longer, but you're going to have that car paid off in 7 or 8 years, it's an okay situation to be in. At least you're going to be paying off the car, you're going to own the car outright after 7 or 8 years, and you're going to be improving your credit. The bottom line is that you want to make sure that you're buying a car that's reasonably priced, it's only a few years old, has a good reputation for reliability, and you're able to pay it off in under 5 years. Remember, a car is a little bit like a race. The final payment is your finish line, and you want to get to that finish line as quickly as possible. That's the right way to buy a car. Unfortunately, a lot of used car dealerships that specialize in bad credit subprime borrowers are not going to give you this kind of information. Remember, a dealership's objective is to make money and sell cars, and they're going to want to sell you the most expensive car they can that's going to make them more money. Some dealers might tell you all kinds of terrible things to get you to sign the deal. For example, they might tell you buying that car that's way above your budget on a 7 or 8 year loan is a good idea because it's going to help rebuild your credit. Well, you can also rebuild your credit on that much less expensive car. You can even buy a car for $3,000 or $4,000 cash and rebuild your credit in other ways that's not going to leave you with a huge pile of debt. Another thing the dealer might tell you is that it's okay to buy a car that's really expensive at a really high interest rate because you can just come back after a couple of years and refinance that car at a much lower rate. This is another really bad piece of advice because many dealers just don't have the ability to refinance your car loan. For the first few years of a car loan, the car is usually worth a lot less than what you owe. This is what we call negative equity, and no bank or credit union is going to let you refinance your loan at a lower rate when you don't have enough equity in the deal. What most dealers do instead of refinancing is that they let you trade your car in for another car instead. And this is a really bad idea because basically what you're going to be doing is taking all of your debt from your first car loan and putting it on top of your new car loan. You might have a lower interest rate, but the total amount of debt that you owe is now way higher. This is how a lot of people end up drowning in an enormous amount of debt and owing way too much money on their car. Buying a used car with bad credit is definitely not an easy process, and it's really easy to get taken advantage of or scammed by a dealership. But if you follow some of the tips in this video, you should end up with a reasonably priced car that you can afford. Let me know what you thought of this video, and if you have any suggestions for any future car videos, just leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you want to check out some of my other car advice videos, you can take a look at these links right over here. And if you need any additional car buying advice, help with getting a great deal on your car, or recommendations, you can also check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.